All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really deep question, and we're going to look at it through four totally different biblical lenses. The question is this: what does it actually mean for God to be with us? Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? When you feel like you're completely isolated, facing all these challenges completely on your own. It's something we've all been through. And that feeling is exactly what the idea of Emmanuel tackles head on. It literally means God with us. But here's the thing, this isn't just one simple concept. It's a dynamic idea, a presence that shows up in some very different and maybe even surprising ways. Okay, so the first way this presence shows up is through something really visible, something external that you can actually see: leadership. So this idea starts way back in ancient Israel. The people were demanding a tangible leader, a king they could physically see, someone who would fight their battles for them. They were basically crying out for visible guidance. But what's really interesting is how God answers their request. He gives them a king, Saul, sure, but he doesn't just make him some political figurehead. This verse shows that the leader is meant to be divinely empowered, literally changed by God's Spirit to be able to do the job. So the big takeaway here is that God's presence is being shown through this leader. It's a tangible, communal form of protection. It's a visible sign that, hey, even though the people wanted a human king, God was still the one ultimately in charge, still right there with them. All right, so we start with this external leader, right? But then the whole idea pivots and becomes something way more personal, something internal, a spiritual reality. And that shift takes us right into the New Testament, into Romans 8, and it introduces a totally different kind of presence. Here, the defining mark of belonging isn't some leader out there, it's a divine spirit within you. And this internal presence, that's what's called the Holy Spirit. And the sermon describes it as like the most direct, most tangible proof you can have that you are not alone. It's not a force on the outside, it's a reality on the inside. And a really key distinction is made here. This indwelling presence isn't just a fleeting emotion, something that comes and goes. No, it's framed as something constant, a guide, a seal that basically confirms a person is a child of God. And according to Romans 8, this internal spirit isn't just passive, it's an active force. It helps liberate you, it confirms your identity, and it even steps in to help when you're weak. It's like having an internal partner. Okay, so we've got the external leader and the internal spirit. But this third one, it's a whole different ballgame. This is presence shown through protective justice. For this, we jump over to the prophet Jeremiah. And he's talking about the Philistines, who were these long-time, really cruel enemies of ancient Israel. I mean, they were a major external threat. So you might be thinking, wait, how is judgment a form of presence? Well, the logic kind of goes like this. First, you've got the adversary, the Philistines, threatening his people. Then, God declares judgment on them. This judgment is really an act of defending his people. And if you're defending them, you're with them. See? Justice becomes a form of presence. And the takeaway here is powerful. God's presence isn't always gentle and quiet. Sometimes it's fierce. It shows up by standing with the vulnerable and acting decisively against the forces trying to harm them. It's presence as a protector. And that brings us to our fourth and final example, and honestly, it might be the most personal and kind of defiant picture of them all. I mean, we've all heard this famous line from Psalm 23, right? Just picture it for a second. You are surrounded by threats, by hostility, and right there, smack in the middle of it all, a feast is being prepared just for you. See, this isn't about defeating the enemy in a fight. It's about being honored, cared for, and provided for while the threat is still right there watching. It's this incredible act of fearless provision and a bold statement of ultimate safety. So if we break it down, what do we see? We see a presence that's super personal, like a host serving you a meal. It's abundant, your cup is literally overflowing, and it is completely fearless. It's his powerful promise that even in the most threatening circumstances, you can find peace, honor, and care. So how do these four very different examples fit together? Let's put it all on the table. You've got presence as external leadership in 1 Samuel. You have the internal indwelling spirit in Romans. Then there's protection through justice in Jeremiah. And finally, that intimate, abundant provision in the Psalms. 4 sources, 4 totally different expressions of the same core idea. And this is really the central conclusion of it all. God with us isn't some simple one-size-fits-all concept. It's a dynamic reality that shows up to meet different needs in different situations. Sometimes it's communal, sometimes it's personal, sometimes it's protective, and sometimes it's about providing peace right in the middle of a storm. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. If presence can look so different, how might support and care be showing up in our own lives, maybe in ways we don't even expect? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.